I don't know. We might make a TikTok soon.
No.
Okay, I guess not.
Welcome to another episode of Sludge Underground. I've got the wonderful folks from Midnight Energy here with me today. Guys, introduce yourselves and what you do.
Okay. My name is Zainab. I'm one of the co-creators from Midnight.
I'm Sean. I'm also one of the co-creators. Between the two of us, we kind of share shooting, editing, directing, writing for any projects that come through.
And like, what is the core concept of Midnight Energy? What is it exactly that you guys do and offer?
Okay, so I think we sort of started this company because we sort of both felt that there was a lot of quality lacking in a lot of the media coming out of South Africa. And I think because we both come from like, film and media and TV, we've got a sort of like standard that we constantly adhering to. So I think a big core concept of it was making sure that whatever we do and anything that we put out is like the best quality we possibly can. And I think that a lot of it stems from also just wanting to bring a lot of the quality to bands, to the alt scene, to the music scene in general, really, in South Africa. And just see where it goes, really. I mean, we've been collaborating with bands and stuff over the last year or two, nearly 2 years. I
At
think
least,
it's
yeah,
a
at
fairly
least two
new
years.
company still. I think we only started it last year. But yeah, I think the core concept really is like bringing quality media to the local music scene.
And like, what are some examples of like quality media, in terms of like what was there before and what it is that you guys offer? So that difference between that TV standard versus what was being produced prior.
So I think just on the background of where we sort of originate quality media from. So we work a lot with like I wouldn't say fancy cameras, but something better than like a phone camera that you could possibly like take to a show and record. I think a big part of it was also just us wanting to make sure that even if you're a small band, you can get some great pictures, you can get some really cool video out of us, and just a big part of it was just giving a bit of access to those resources to bands who maybe might not have it as often or accessible as much as we would like it to be. So I think a lot of it really comes from like making sure that whatever we do in terms of edit, graphics, video, sound, music, it's all fine tuned to make sure that it's at like a international standard. And I think a lot of it really also just comes from the fact that we are in a country like South Africa where unfortunately the resources to media isn't as accessible as like anywhere in Europe, really. So a lot of it really just comes from making sure that whatever we do, we're bringing the international quality standard to the local scene and making sure that anything that we are doing is just at a really good standard that we can be happy with and something that we know anyone else will look at and say, shit, man, that was like shot well, or that's a really sick picture, or damn, like that video is really cool. And I don't know if you want to expand on it, maybe just in terms of like technicalities of what we do, but most of the time it's pretty much just making sure that if we're going to shoot something, we're going to make sure we bring the best gear. We're going to make sure that it's edited really fucking cool. Sorry, I don't know if we can swear. And yeah, just making sure.
Yeah, I mean, the original idea was that like me and Zainab met up. We wanted to, even before we were dating or anything like that, we wanted to sort of make short films, and we both come from the industry. We both worked. I worked in TV. I worked in a lot of TV and news. Zayn was very much from a film background. We both gone into marketing. We both have a little bit of experience in all areas. We both shoot. We both edit. So we have together quite a large sort of collective knowledge and quite a focused goal on what like the standard of quality is out there for big budget brands and like your everyday brands that you see every single day. We saw a little bit of a gap in the market when we obviously work with bands a lot. We obviously go to a lot of shows and everything like that. There's a lot of bands out there that are doing really quality stuff in terms of their image, in terms of their music. But the media that they put out or the coverage of shows and stuff like that, we didn't really feel like there was a lot there. There may be times where there's a lot there because obviously there's a lot of photographers and stuff that come through, but it fluctuates. So we saw a little bit of a hole there where we could like, what if we come in, we start off small, we start doing event coverage, we start doing a little bit of music videos here and there, and we sort of test the waters, you know? We both have full-time jobs, so it's a little bit in between all of that stuff, but we wanted to try and build up a little bit of a system here, working with the other people that do similar stuff to us for bands, and offer something that's maybe a little bit not of a higher standard, but maybe a little bit more accessible to our standard for bands that don't always get the chance, you know?
From the outside looking in, that's also a great way to entice people to get involved in the scene. I mean, if you're just someone who is into music and you see a video, it could be of the greatest band in the country, but if it's a shitty video, you're gonna be like, that doesn't look like something I really want to get involved in. Whereas if there's good media, it could be the most mid band in existence, but you're like, that looks sick. That looks like those people are having a ball. And like, I want to go get involved in that. I want to be a part of this. And like, I 100% agree with you. It is definitely a gap in it because I sure as hell didn't get involved in the scene through media. It was from going to shows and experiencing it firsthand and, you know, hearing word of mouth. I only started getting involved into like the live music scene in 2012, 2013. And once again, it was through word of mouth. It was through going to shows. There was the sparsely like alternative music video out there that was done really well. And like, but you looked at those bands as like up here just purely because they did like some of the most basic media stuff, like what Zany said, on an international quality. And it's really cool that you guys are there just trying to build up that framework. Like I really do like that.
I think the idea is that like back in the I say back in the day, but yeah, maybe like 5 to 10 years ago, word of mouth and like um, just people going to shows and everything like that was basically the main way to get your band out there. You know, there wasn't a lot of media, and if there was media, it was like MCAR and like a bunch of other photographers and everything like that. And it was really, really good stuff. But it's again, it comes and goes, and unfortunately, there's a lot of bands that you only hear about from a friend or something like that, or you see them once and you'll never see it again. So now that the landscape has changed to more of like a digital thing, especially during COVID, where people like value media and value their image as a band and something like that. It's cool that there's a whole bunch of new bands coming out, and there's also a bunch of new media, um, not companies, media personalities coming through, like Sludge, like us, like Russell Crowe, coming through to do proper coverage of events, and also it's just spreads the word for all of us. I would say
Yeah.
every band benefits. I'd say. Yeah.
Like I would put it out there that like not Russell Crowe is like the OG of like just these sick videos. Like I've been following that dude for years, like and the shit that he's been doing.
Yeah, so even on his stuff as well, like a big part of what we do is also collaboration. Like I don't think we would be doing anything we're doing now without collaboration. And whether that be us approaching people or people approaching us, a big part of it really is just it's not just one company making one thing for a band. It's collaborating with a band or with an artist, you know. So I think that a big part of that is that it not just only grows our brand, but also the brand of like the bands, the artists, whoever else we work with. It's like you help me, we'll help you, you know, situation.
Yeah.
And why media is so important now is because everything is online now. Like if you don't have a decent profile picture or a decent music video, like one or two maybe, you know, the sad reality is that sometimes people will not take you seriously. And I think that's what we've learned a lot in the media industry. Anyone in film and TV knows that like if you make an edit and the sound is shit, the whole edit is shit. And I think that a lot of what we do is set like a standard, and make sure that we stick to that standard, because from our backgrounds, we know that if there's a weird glitch in a video, it can throw the video off a little bit. Maybe that's just so. Editors are very particular, and if you are an editor, like, you'll look at a video and be like, nah, there's like a freeze frame there, and
I'm very
you're very
harsh.
like picky. But I think
Yeah.
that it's not a bad thing to be picky, because you're setting yourself a standard for good quality work. And that's what we're trying to do now, is make sure that with anything we do, it's setting that standard, and it's also just giving I would hope that it gives our brand a sense of that standard, so that anyone who comes to us will know that they are going to get the best quality possible.
I'm low key like scared of editing a video and being judged by the two of you now.
No, no,
So
no. Just
I'm
make
gonna
sure.
I'm gonna sit for the next 2 weeks and edit this video like that fucking, that meme of the dude just sweating his tits off, smacking the keyboard. It's like, but like, it's really cool that you guys have that background though and that experience. Like, if for instance, it makes it a lot easier, and two, there's a lot less of a learning curve. I mean, sure, it's your own business and there is obviously a learning curve in that, but if you look at Naz and I, for instance, with Sludge, we had, and probably still don't have, any fucking idea what we were doing when we started out doing this. We had it was 8 years. It was a case of, we want to do something to help benefit the music scene. Fuck it, YOLO, let's go, dude. Let's wing it, let's try it. And it's taken years to get to, some sort of standard where we are now, but it has been like years of literal like trial and error and learning how to do this. So I would say that that benefits you guys so much, having worked in that industry and having professional experience in that industry.
Even with our experience and everything like that, it's still very much a case like what you guys have, where there is a lot of trial and error. There is a lot of like refining what you're actually trying to put out there. Because even with my experience, even with Zainab's experience, with everything combined, like we still have to push a product, push an image. With Sludge, like you can clearly see that you guys have hit a stride now where it's like, cool, this is your like look and feel, this is your theme, this is what you guys are up to, and like you just go and you keep perfecting that and keep going and going. With us, it's very similar as well. When with the opportunities that we get with bands and everything like that, each one is like a little bit gradually better, and then slowly, hopefully, it builds into something more as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like in terms of like the content that you guys have been putting out, I've seen like a variety of stuff. I've seen like mini documentaries, some interview stuff, obviously the music videos and stuff like that. Like, walk me through like a bit of what it is that you guys are, what those sort of things entail. So like, for instance, a mini documentary, what kind of steps are you putting into that to make that engaging and something worth watching?
So just on the docu side, we sort of had our first opportunity to make one last year for the 2023 Wacken, or Wacken finals. So a lot of that came with learning how to piece together some long form content into not, I wouldn't say short form, but getting people to watch it. So getting people to watch something, usually that entails like a teaser or a trailer or a sting or something like that. And those are just little elements that we make to sort of market and advertise the docu. But I think in terms of how the process worked with that, we got approached by Sash, who runs the finals and everything, or Wacken metal battle in general in South Africa and sub-Saharan Africa. And it was really like a great opportunity for us to also just meet and collaborate with the other bands. Like, I think for both of us, our favorite part of last year was getting to just interview the bands and like ask them questions about their life and like how did they get there, and just getting to know them a bit more. And then what came out of that was making those connections with other bands, and now we can speak to them and like collaborate and work with them together in the future. So again, like a big part of that is collaboration, but then another big part of it was also just learning how to work together, because I think because we have a unique dynamic, we're not just like business partners, we're like actual partners. And a lot of that comes with like, you have to make sure that you're not treating, well, you are treating it like a job, because at the end of the day it is a job. As soon as you step onto a set, we both go like work mode, and we make sure that the lights are set up and the camera's set up. But also just with that, I think we had a lot of fun just learning how we work together. When it came to shooting, it was just fun to learn, like, how do you set up your camera?
Way different.
It was very different. How do I set up lights? And then we both have similar editing styles, but also different at the same time. I think I like lingering on some shots and being a bit more slow paced. You cut quick, 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 which is
It's
which
like
is
it's like an
cool.
ADHD versus like a straight like person. Like I also
Yeah.
cut. Like versus Naz, dude, I have so many cuts in like comparison.
I
Sorry,
go,
carry on.
you can't go slow. Like it has to be cool and
Yeah.
fast.
I gotta cater to the ADHD brain out there. Like,
It's gotta be like.
But that comes in handy, because then you see, like, a lot of what we do as well is that um, if we're doing any sort of marketing for a band or brand or artist, for example, if we're making one video, a lot of the time, like, he'll take over and make like a teaser or a sting or like a coming soon thing. And then we work together in that way where, like, we'll divide the work up as well. So even with this docu we're making now for the 2024 Wacken, I'm doing the part one of everything leading up to Wacken, and he's doing part two of the Wacken experience and how that was. So just splitting the work up as well is a big part of what we do, because then it doesn't end up being a situation where one of us is too stressed or something. I think we both, as you mentioned earlier, we both have full time jobs, and that alone comes with a lot of stress sometimes. So also trying to manage like the company, it's not that it's necessarily a bad or hard thing to do, but just finding I think we have a lot of passion that drives us to make cool shit. Because at the end of the day, like, we're doing this because we want to be able to see our work on platforms and have other people see it, so that they can see that, hey, this is, like, it's possible that you can have great work like this. And then just in terms of how that whole process happens in terms of any job we get, like, we're working on two music videos now for some local bands, and a lot of that just came with meeting people at shows, and then a lot of it would just be, oh, okay, I see you do media, can you help us with this? That's what we want. We're hoping that we're going to get a lot more people approaching us and seeing what we do, and want to have something like that. But I think the only curveball really is just budgets. Budgets are, in anyone who works in film and TV knows that budgets are the worst things possible, because it restricts so much of what you can do. But at the same time, it also challenges you to make something work within a tight space. So if we get approached and we have like very minimal budget to work with, we can work around it, and we can see, like, where can we still bring the quality that we want within the constraints. And if there's a bigger budget, then obviously we can make something even better. But it doesn't necessarily, like, more budget just means that we can make more. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to improve the product.
It's less
Like,
restriction.
yeah, so even if there's still restrictions, you're still going to get great work. You're still going to get a fucking killer edit. It doesn't limit us per se, but it challenges our creativity of, like, what we can do.
yeah, it doesn't limit like your quality, but it does limit your options. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
puts a bit of restrictions on what's possible, but whatever's possible will still be the same standard.
and I can't help but like touch on the username, which is like triple X. underscore Dragon Slayer
Oh, yeah,
5000.
you wanted to do that last moment.
There was a lot more to it. There was like four
It was
2069
so
XX, but
limited.
they limited me to 20 characters.
It's like it reminds me of like a high school email address that's made it through to
Oh,
your
yeah,
adult
I mean,
life.
that was probably
I literally have one of those.
mine was like Ghostwalker XXD.
Ghost Rider
I
5.
got it from a Lamb of God song and I was obsessed with it. And I just like, I used it on, I even made an email.
MySpace
I
back
was
in
very
that.
much a pick me emo teen boy, and mine was No More Tears to Cry. With that, I'm sure everyone from that generation remembers that artwork that went with it.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I'll find it and I'll put it up here. That was horrifying looking back at that, actually, to be honest. But we move, we live, we get older.
Yeah, dude, I think mine was like sad Atreyu lyrics of like, oh my god, I can't believe you've done this.
And like, can you guys talk about like what it is you're working on at the moment? You said you're working on 2 music videos at the moment. Is that like top secret, or like the band's keeping it under wraps, or is it something you're able to talk about?
So currently, the big thing we got going now is the 2024 Wacken Metal Battle documentary, and we're going to be screening it in person in Joburg on the 6th of October. But part one will be released on YouTube on that same day, and then part two will be dropped a little later. But that's what we're working on now because obviously they went to fucking Germany and won the Wacken Medal battle, and it was really, really sick. And yeah, I mean, we got the massive opportunity to obviously go to Germany as well. And that was just the best part from a media perspective because we got to capture like the whole experience. So you'll see that in the docu when we're releasing it. And yeah, so that's our first job at the moment right now that we're really cracking on. And then we're working on 2 music videos for 2 local bands. The first one, Fading Grey, they've got a new single coming out soon, and Desert Mother, which we've been really close to lately. Like,
Very good
yeah,
song.
I don't know if their single is Hush Hush, but
I've heard the
we're working
song
on that
as well,
now.
and I've heard my
It's great.
yeah, I've heard the mix, and it's sick. So excited for those
Oh,
ones
I
for sure.
can't wait. I absolutely cannot wait. And then what's it like? Like, also, generally your job and your experience is obviously being behind the camera and editing and stuff like that. How has that sort of that shift been to now being like, I'm going to ask you questions now? Um, I know, like, for a lot of people, that can be really awkward. I know for me in the beginning, even now, sometimes I sit and I'm like, oh, what do I say? But like how has that shift been for you? Is it something that you've been adjusting to? Is it something that you've always kind of been good at, or what's the deal there?
I mean, for me, I've personally never really been interviewed that much. I've always been a behind the camera rather than in front of it kind of person. But it has been a little beneficial, I think, just from my perspective of like speaking about things and things that I'm trying to do. It just helps a lot, I think, also to just, you know, and analyze in my head, like, what am I actually saying and how am I approaching the situation in front of me. So for this, for example, like this is really great because it's not just us benefiting from it. It's also you guys, and that's part of what we want to do is collaboration. So this is a great opportunity, I think, just for us to also just get our brand out and call people to like come and work with us, come work with us. And yeah, I don't know from your side. I mean, you've done a few interviews and stuff, but I don't know
Yeah,
recently what you've
I
done.
mean it's a shift, but it's not too much of a shift. Like, luckily we both have experience in this field, and a lot of that experience in this field is like also managing people, knowing how to like conduct an interview, conduct yourself professionally, and all those things. And working in bands that get interviewed a lot, it helps a lot. But also because in my company, I run a lot of productions with like a lot of crew and a lot of people. We have to direct usually clients on set and everything like that to how they are going to be on camera, and then you sort of take the advice and take your skills from directing crew, directing people, doing all of that stuff to translate it to yourself. So it's a new thing for us to be on the other side. But I think again that's another lane where our experience sort of helps us. Zainab does like a lot of directing, a lot of interviews and everything like that. So like we're prepared for like how it goes, how questions are and everything like that. It's just finessing our answers and how to look good on camera that we're figuring out still, I think.
Yeah, I forgot actually I conduct so many interviews in my
Yeah,
job.
you see, so it's
Like
the same.
it's a lot, and then I'll just use that from those skills and into like this, you know.
Yeah, at least it's like a transferable skill. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, I know some people are, and I've met some people who are absolutely terrible to interview
I'm
because
better.
they just like you ask a question and they're like, "Yeah, I don't know, hey," and then that's the end of the question.
I'm glad we can take solace in the fact that we've both had those hot, like, those terrible encounters.
Dude,
Yeah,
I
dude,
have
everyone
one.
has
I
had
have
it.
one that will stick out in my memory for the rest of time. The early days of Sludge Underground, and
dude,
I
it's
will
tough.
never forget that. And it was an in-person one as well. It wasn't even online where I could just,
Was
like that
It's
was
like,
in person to my face. And yeah, that's ooh.
dude, it's a grind sometimes, and like, but that's also part of the experience of what you take away from that interview as well, of how to create maybe a better environment for that person, or how to break the ice, or make it a little bit more like comfortable, and how you conduct yourself as well. The people on the other side are always going to be exactly the way that they're going to be, and that's fine because that's their thing. But like you learning of how to work with that person, and then also how to fix an edit that sucks. Like
Yeah.
working you, that's like five
yeah.
seconds worth of answers, and you got to make it work.
Yeah.
So that's part
Make
of
it
the
look like you weren't dying inside.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen interviews that I've done where I've just been sweating there, and the guy is a dead fish. Dude. Like it happens.
And then, like, guys, moving on, what are the future plans for Midnight Energy? What is the end goal, and where, like, your next immediate plans, and where you guys are looking at for the future, and what you guys are going to be offering?
From my perspective, the idea is just to kind of grow and do more. I think the Wacken Metal Battle and the Wacken Sub-Saharan experience has allowed us to get in contact with every band that was involved with that. It's also put us on like a bit of a platform to put our name out there. I want to do more music videos. I want to do more event coverage. My ultimate goal personally would be to cover more bands' live shows. I would like to start doing a little bit more of an archive and a little bit more of a live show coverage. If you've ever seen a guy, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with Hate 56. It's just a dude with a camcorder and a guy who works with people in America, or he travels around a little bit, and he films band sets start to finish, and he films every band possible and he uploads them, and that's it.
Yeah, I think just touching on that as well, like the one of my mottos that I sort of had in this industry and just being in the South African industry, for example, is think global, act local. So a lot of that comes from anything that you do needs that you want to benefit the local community. It needs to be with the consideration that you want to take it global. So a lot of what we want to do, and just from like a personal perspective of where I would love to see our company go, is being one of those um, stepping stones for artists to actually get on a global scale. Mm.
Like, even I think pushing it to a global level is great as well, but like I think even locally there's a lot of folks around here, a lot of people that don't even know that we have a scene.
Yeah,
And
comes along
they
there.
dude, they down the road we have we're very fortunate to be in Joburg, and down the road to have like the best venue around being Sonaj, and there's rumors, and there's all of these places that we can go in Pretoria and stuff like that, and we see bands pretty much every weekend, which is like great. But there's so many people that don't even know a scene exists. There's every person that I work with doesn't even know that there's metal around and stuff like that.
It's up to people like you and I to make this a reality,
Yeah,
to show
literally,
people that
dude.
it's out
And
there.
like you've seen this with like Sludge. You've seen it with the videos we do, especially with the Russell videos and stuff like that. Like those are like starting to like trickle people into shows that have like they just want to kind of dip their feet a little bit, you know, and have a look and have a look at like what's going on. And I think that's really really cool. And it's also very very important that like promoters also collaborate with media outlets, being us, being Sludge, being all of those people. People like Sash, people like Noisefix, really us putting bands on the map recently, and like there's becoming like a big upsurge about that, which is great, dude.
And also, like, just local music, like content creators as well. You know, like you get people like the head banging panda. You know, he's like a sort of guerrilla warfare of getting people to music. You look at people like Keish Kush, like Keisha from Cape Town. She also does like really high quality videos, and you know, seeing this like sort of growth of more people doing content about South African music, that is also like something that's good to see. I know there's a aspiring lad who goes by Polar Panda, who's also desperately like running around doing like just like these guerrilla interviews at shows, like with an artist or anyone that he can grab. And this kid's like 15. That's just great.
But that's cool because like speaking from a perspective of from me being in bands and stuff like that and going to shows when I was 15, like I didn't even have like friends to go to shows or like confidence to like go and interview people and stuff like that. Now there's people in Pretoria, Joburg, Durban, Cape Town. There's like a few people in each of those cities that are like just purely passionate about it, and then just they're starting their own things and doing their own stuff, and they're putting bands on that deserve to be put on, you know. And because of that, we will see a band from Durban or Cape Town or something like that, and we're like, oh, we should probably work with that band, and we'll book something, you know. Or when they come up, we'll go and we'll visit and we'll do a show together or something. So like it's becoming a larger and larger close knit community because of those people who are just purely passionate about it. And that's kind of the same energy that we have with Midnight.
So, in closing, where can people find you? Where can people find your stuff, the stuff that you've worked on? Give just a shameless plug there.
Yeah, I mean, you can find most of our stuff on our website. If you go on our Instagram, we have in the bio our link tree, and that will link you to our Facebook, our Instagram, and our website where we upload all our stuff as we make it. But yeah, we're also just very active on Instagram a lot, I think, because that's where a lot of our visual stuff is, and Facebook is more just for like keeping people posted about certain things that we're doing. I don't know. We might make a TikTok soon.
No.
Okay, I guess not.
No, no.
All of the platforms are just Midnight Energy Production or Midnight Prod. Instagram's a main one just because of reels and like it's a lot easier to sort of visually do. Facebook, we do a lot of the photos of the events that we cover or any shows that we cover, and it's a lot easier over there to get people to come through to events because we can do invites and everything like that. There probably will be a TikTok. I'm hesitant. There is a website, and then obviously our personal pages is an easy way to reach us because we're both very active in our own respects, you know.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for taking the time to chat. Fuck, I think I'm shutting down completely at this point. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time to have a chat with me. Oh my god. Okay, shut up. Ash is laughing at me in the background. But yeah, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to chat with you about this, and yeah, all the best. I can't wait to see what you guys do in the future, and just keep doing it.
Thanks so much, man.
Thanks, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate taking the time to actually also highlight us a little bit and put us on. Yeah, thank you.
Let's go on.